What's going on, guys? Today we are taking a look at Stomp and Chomp Grimlock from the Transformers Age of Extinction toy line. Now, first thing you need to realize about this figure is it is gigantic. This guy's about, let's say a foot tall. I mean, this is the box, and here it is next to Metroplex. It's about half the size of Metroplex, height-wise. So, yeah, not tiny in the least bit. The box itself is just big, wide, and actually pretty heavy. I'd say it's the size of a small child in and of itself. It comes with Grimlock, a sword, and this little non-transforming Prime figure. So let's open him up and take a look. One quick note to realize is that he is not totally assembled when out of the box. You have to deal with his tail, which is not secured at all in the box, and then his other leg, which is only partially secured in the box. Alright, so assembly of Grimlock is actually pretty easy. We're going to start with just picking up Grimlock himself and then just dropping him down on his leg. So, let's get this lined up and just drop him into place. Easy peasy. And then his tail is just pegging into his butt. And there is a little bit of, there's like a little channel here where my finger is that you can see that where the tail will peg into. And you just kind of have to fiddle with it because the plastic is actually pretty strong back here. And this is turning dirtier and dirtier the more I talk about it. But that's it. So we got them all formed up into a giant dinosaur! Yay! I like dinosaurs. The last thing to put them all together is to put the giant sword right up into his tail. In Dino mode, Grimlock is big and rather heavy, not to mention incredibly long. It's not a bad-looking Dino mode, though. I'm actually pretty okay with it. It's definitely different. It definitely has the more skeletal look than the other versions of Grimlock, which there are many of them. It's a pretty decent Dino mode, except for the giant gun coming off of his butt. Now, that is actually used for the gimmicks in the figure, but we'll get into that in a minute. It's as I said, just a big, big figure. In fact, here he is next to Metroplex. Half the size of Metroplex in Dino mode. That's not tiny at all. The Optimus Prime figure that he comes packaged with has two of those little magnet feet on the bottom, but overall it's an okay molded figure, but it is not a very well painted figure. It has zero posability, so don't expect to be able to move this guy at all. He's got very little paint, as I said, just some paint touches here, just so you could tell it's Optimus Prime. In fact, he's smaller than the one-step change Prime, which I find ridiculous. So, let's go ahead and take a look at his lights and sounds. The actual lights and sounds are mostly here in the head. We have the speakers coming out of the top of the head, and then his eyes flash. You activate the lights and sounds with this switch. It comes with 3 different positions: try me, off, and on. We're setting him to on. The first gimmick is just pushing up his teeth. That's all he does. Now, if you just leave him alone, he will make snarling sounds here and there, which is just kind of weird. I'm going to turn the other light off here, and we've just got the overhead light. So he just snarls at you. And that really freaks my cats out, oddly enough. So we're going to grab the handle up here and push in, and then lean him forward. Oh, now one thing I have noticed is that if you don't really secure the latch, it'll just fall forward. The next gimmick has to do with the Autobot or Decepticon that can ride him. Just behind the head you have this little opening, or this opening along the back, where you could drop an Autobot or Decepticon. Now, depending on which version or an Autobot or Decepticon you drop on him, he will snarl and release a different weapon. So Autobots all have this little disc on their right foot. And this is what happens. So this giant cannon... Okay, yes, we get that. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good boy. So, as you can see, this cannon flips out on the side and shoots anything that's at a 45-degree angle to Grimlock. Yay. So, replacing that, and let's grab a Decepticon, and there's only one Decepticon, and that's Lockdown. So, let's go ahead and drop him into place. All the Decepticons are going to have their left foot be the activator. Now, as you can see, his eyes are flashing red. He's not really snarling, but this weird missile pod pops out and spins. So, cool? There's a spawn in the dinosaur which is supposed to hold the handle when you transform it that you could put figures into. I thought you could maybe put one of the one-step change figures, but there's just not enough room to put them in vehicle mode. In robot mode, they fit with no problem. Ironically, there was only one figure that could fit in that opening in his butt in alt mode, and it's Grimlock. And now for his transformation. Grab the back here and just pull back. The figure that we end up with is just gigantic, but is severely lacking in real detail. He just feels big, and that's about it. Now, if you leave the actual lights and sounds on for long enough, he just starts randomly making lights and sounds, and that's kind of unsettling, because you could be walking in a room, and all of a sudden you'll hear him just go, "Destroy!" And that's really weird. He has virtually no posability. You can't move his shoulders, you can't move his head, his elbows bend at 90 degrees, that's it. Nothing else. I've seen Super Sentai figures with more posability, but that's not the reason for the figure. It's the gimmick of being able to put an Autobot or Decepticon on him. As I said, he has lights and sounds gimmicks in this mode, which are activated via the dino mouth just above his head. And that's it. That's all you get out of him. He doesn't really sound like much of anything, in all honesty. In fact, he just sounds like a video game character trying to yell through metal. Weird. As you can see, in robot mode, Chomp and Stomp Grimlock is not tiny. He comes up to Metroplex's chest. I mean, he's eye level with Metroplex's chest. That's not small at all. Other than the lack of real detailing or any real playability with this guy, the other big issue with him is he doesn't actually fully transform. The arms do not go all the way back. There's a lot of play here, which is just odd. I would expect them to pull all the way back, but maybe that's a safety feature. It makes him look weird, and he's got a hole for pecs. It's just strange. I guess Hasbro was just trying to prevent kids from pinching themselves. Now, to transform him back, that's pretty easy. Just stick the tail straight out, grab your hinge, and fold him down. Though the transformation doesn't always work, which is weird. You're supposed to keep the arms straight, and then fold them down, and the arms are supposed to collapse. But because of that play that I talked about earlier in the arms, he doesn't transform. So you have to do it manually. And kind of grab the pecs and push forward, and then make sure with your fingers to push everything in underneath and slide it underneath. And then you could have him fall forward to roar again. So, yeah, a little bit problematic. And just because we have to, here are all of the Grimlock figures. We've got the Constructbots in the back, the Voyager, the one-step change, the leader, and finally, the Chomp and Stomp. Man, there are a lot of Grimlocks in this line. It's almost as bad as Bumblebee and Prime. Overall, I can't really recommend Chomp and Stomp Grimlock. At an MSRP price of $80, it is not worth it. I was able to get a hold of this guy for significantly less, thanks to just, well, a lot of Amazon points that I wasn't really going to use. In fact, that's where I got it. I, in fact, got it $10 cheaper off Amazon. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video review of Chomp and Stomp Grimlock from Transformers Age of Extinction. As usual, I am Baltmatrix, and we'll catch you next time.